Good morning. It is 9 a.m. Happy Valley time. That must mean it's time for the Penn State Alumni Association's coffee hour. We have a great program lined up for you today. We're going to talk with Stephanie Shirley. She's the founder and owner of Bennis Public Relations. We're going to learn about her entrepreneurial journey, her connections to Penn State, and a lot more. Let us know who you are and where you're zooming in from. You can use the chat on the bottom of your Zoom video window to let us know, or if you're joining us out on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us out there. Let us know who you are and where you're zooming in from in the comments. And I'm actually just getting a note that Facebook Live isn't working. So scratch that welcome, but welcome to you all who are here on Zoom. Go ahead and let us know who you are and where you're zooming in from today. We have a great conversation lined up with Stephanie Shirley. I see Paul McConaughey's here from the class of 60 up there in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Good morning, Paul. It is starting to feel more and more like spring here in Happy Valley. The weather has changed. We actually got to go to the football stadium to watch some Penn State football practice. So it's starting to feel more and more like it's getting back to normal. I see Alyssa from the class of 2001 zooming in from New York. Good morning, Alyssa. We'll be getting started here in just a minute. Thanks for joining us. Good morning. Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association. Welcome to the Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. Each week on Coffee Hour, you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about what they're passionate about, and you can expect to feel the pride and the power of the Penn State network. We are recording this session and closed captions are available for this event. You can find that information in the chat in Zoom or in the comments on Facebook. Today's guest is Stephanie Shirley. At the age of 23, Stephanie left her newly appointed job within Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett's administration to take the entrepreneurial leap of faith and start her own PR consulting business, Bennis Public Relations. Now, almost a decade later, Stephanie has built a robust portfolio of clients across the nation, including worldwide nonprofit organizations, government agencies, state associations, and businesses covering just about every industry. Stephanie has also forged power partnerships with other marketing, advertising, and government affairs firms to expand her services and skills. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephanie Shirley to Coffee Hour. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here with you, Paul.
Well, I'm excited about our conversation. Let's start at the beginning, Stephanie. How did you become a Penn Stater?
Right. So I grew up in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. So people who know Pennsylvania would certainly be familiar with that small town. If we're going broader, you're thinking of Altoona. Many people know, of course, Penn State, Altoona. So Penn State University Park was in my backyard, essentially. Grew up going to many different, whether it was high school games, but then certainly Penn State football games. And, I never wanted to take for granted how amazing it was to have this so close to me. Of course, as an 18-year-old, you're thinking, I want to get out of this state. I want to get away from my parents. I want to experience a new part of the country. But even as I did my research, time and time, I kept getting drawn back to Penn State and saying, just because it's close, I don't want to discount how amazing that this is for what I want to do. So I ultimately chose Penn State, even though it was closer in proximity that I want it to be. But I will say that when I went up there, I fully immersed myself. I didn't really come home on the weekends, and it felt as far as what I needed it to be to kind of get that professional and that student growth. I think you're muted, Paul.
I know. God, it's a rookie error. So you come to Penn State. What are some of your favorite memories of your time as a student here?
Right. I mean, that's a great question. I have to now think back nearly a decade. So you're really stretching me to think back on that too. But every year was different in that I lived somewhere different. I had different roommates. So I almost have to piece it back as to what is my favorite. I chose to come in during summer semester. So I got a little bit early of a head start, graduated from high school, immediately went up to University Park for the summer. That was an amazing experience. Highly recommend it for students. You kind of ease into the credits and what it's like, but you make lifelong friends. But I would say one of my favorite memories, maybe a little bit more controversy, my first crisis PR example would be, if everyone remembers the Penn State whiteout t-shirts that they used to have, I'd hate to think that I was the reason they don't have them anymore. But the design that my friend and I had put together that ultimately won the contest that the Collegian runs got the attention of the ACLU. We wanted to showcase the stripe of the football helmet to show unity, and we put Penn State across the chest. So the stripe plus Penn State made it look like what some might feel is a religious symbol. Got massive attention, national media coverage. Of course, that was not our intent. So that was a whirlwind, going into Fox News, talking with Fox and Friends. They sent, a town car at 4:00 in the morning to come out to Philadelphia. So a favorite memory might seem odd to look back at that, but I do think that it prepared me for the career that I'm at now. And then beyond that, definitely the friends, the food, the nightlife, all of that is just jumbled into an amazing 4 years at Penn State.
Besides causing a media stir and frenzy while you were here as a student, what are some of the other things that you were involved in terms of activities?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones, I'm so glad I found it. Most people don't, most students might come and they're going to think of thon. They're going to think of maybe the, intramural sports they can get involved in. And I chose to get in with UPack, the University Park Allocation Committee. For people who might not know what that is, it's the student funding that goes out to all, these organizations that I would have never known existed until they came before us, asking for funding. And then I sat on a board and a panel of other peers and students who got to determine, are thousands of dollars that we pay into our student funding worthy of different causes? And many times, yes. So many rich and robust organizations that exist within Penn State. And I was able to see those and experience them before me and ask questions of them by serving on that University Park Allocation Committee. It also really helped to develop kind of that judicial mindset, business mindset, and met some people that really, now that I'm still friends with them on social media, get to see that, they really have risen to the top of their career field. So it's a good group of people with UPack.
What a good way to kind of get out of your box at Penn State and learn about everything else that's going on than by serving on UPack. I have made the argument over time that UPack and the Student Fee Board may actually be, I don't want to use the word powerful, but may actually have more decision-making responsibility than the undergraduate student government that UPUA might have, just because of the money that they're working with and how they make their allocations.
Absolutely. Yeah. We didn't take those decisions lightly. I learned to ask, are there concurrent sessions at different programs and seminars? And we really try to stretch it as far as we could.
Yeah. So we talk about the power of the Penn State network here a lot on Coffee Hour. And you have an interesting power of the Penn State network story that brought you and Scott, your husband, together. For those of you who don't know, Stephanie is married to Scott Shirley. You can look in our archives for Scott's appearance on Coffee Hour. He's doing great work with the nonprofit that he has founded and runs, that he has founded, Uplifting Athletes, and and then the great work that he's doing with Pledge It in terms of helping helping individuals, helping nonprofits generate the funds that they need through crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. And so check out our episode of Coffee Hour with Scott, Shirley. But talk about how the Penn State Network brought you and Scott together.
Yeah, so it's a common question. People after they meet us both know that we're Penn Staters, right? So they know that we graduated from Penn State, and they think that surely you met on campus. You met through friends or you saw each other. And I like to quickly remind people that Scott and I didn't go to Penn State at the same time. We never crossed paths. He was 99 to 2003. I came on campus the summer of 2006. So there was a 3-year gap that we didn't overlap. So you would almost think friends wouldn't have even overlapped either. But as you said, through his founding of Uplifting Athletes, which is a chapter still run through the Penn State football team, he still was very integral in working with the football players. So of course, my year, I had some friends that also played football, and I'll give a shout out to Brett Brackett. And Brett was the one who overlapped with my year. He was very involved in the Penn State chapter of Uplifting Athletes and now has moved into a staff role with the organization, which is really exciting. Right. And it was through Brett was visiting Scott in Harrisburg. That's where I lived at the time. And you can't really miss Brett, 6'5". And I saw him and I was like, what are you doing here? In Harrisburg. And it was great to see each other. And he quickly, you see the light bulb go off. He's like, wait, you live in Harrisburg. Here's my friend that lives in Harrisburg. You guys seem like you'd be a good fit. So he didn't push it that way. And Scott and I were very much like, no, we're just looking for friends. But kind of that power of the Penn State Network and that underlying characteristic that I think brings Penn Staters together. We quickly connected and realized we wanted to be more than friends. So started dating, ultimately went on to get married. And then kind of the fun full circle of that story is Brett went on to marry his now wife, Jamie, and Scott was asked to be the officiant of that wedding, which also took place at the Arboretum at Penn State. So if you wanted to draw kind of like that detective outline of how Penn State has connected us, you'd certainly have a spider web of string connecting us all together.
That's amazing. I can't believe we haven't had Brett Brackett on Coffee Hour yet. We're gonna have to pull some strings to get Brett on Coffee Hour in a future episode. But what a wonderful story. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined this morning by Stephanie Shirley. She's the founder and owner of Bennis Public Relations. So you graduate from Penn State. Walk us through the early career experience that you had and the moment you decided that you want to kind of hang up your own shingle and launch your own PR firm.
Yeah, absolutely. So that whole story starts before I graduated. I believe I was in my junior year at Penn State. I was helping in the engineering department, running some of their conferences. So that's where public relations actually overlaps with engineering, is on the event planning side. So I was an intern in the Department of Engineering, and during one of their conferences, they had a guest speaker come in. And he was an author. He spoke on emotional intelligence, great guy. And when he asked me at the registration desk, well, are you an engineer? I said, absolutely not. You wouldn't want me to be an engineer. I said, I'm in public relations. And you could see the light bulb went off in this gentleman's head. And he said, hey, I have a PR firm back in Atlanta, and I don't feel like they're doing a great job for me. You're a student, you're learning everything about PR right now. What if I just hired you as a freelancer to do what I need done? I said, I've never done anything like that, but that's intriguing. Hey, if you're the keyword pay me, this is awesome. That's really where the entrepreneurial freelance side started. So during my junior year into senior year, and then even after graduation, I worked with this gentleman, ultimately then his wife, who's a business owner, and it was very much a side gig. But then I went into, immediately after graduation, I was still doing the freelance stuff, but I was hired on to Governor Corbett's campaign in 2010. So he was running for his first time for governor. That was a whirlwind. And I really thought I wanted to go into politics. I thought I wanted to mold public relations and communications with that political side of things, whether that be lobbying, public policy, public affairs. So he won the campaign. I got to essentially pick my job in his administration within reason. And I chose the Department of Health Public Affairs. And when I went in there, I wasn't there more than 6 months before I realized the side work I was doing for this gentleman, his wife, and now some legislators were hiring me to do their fundraisers and everything like that. That's where my passion was. So during my day job, I didn't hate it. I really enjoyed it. But I couldn't wait to go and design invitations or to write solicitation letters, to write emails and social media, all of that sort of thing. And so I realized something had to change. Here I was still young, Student loans hadn't even hit yet. So imagine that. So, and I realized, I have minimal expenses, minimal responsibility. If I'm going to take this leap, now's the time to do it. If I wait even 5, 10 more years, there's a chance I'm going to have other people I'm accountable to, spouses, potentially a young family, a mortgage. So instead I said, well, I'm just going to take this leap now. If it fails, I can always go apply for another job and figure it out. But I did. So at 23, imagine this. I go to my father, my mom, and I say, that job that should be the dream job that every kid graduates, they have a pension lining up, they have health insurance and good benefits. Well, I'm going to quit that job. And here's what I'm going to do. Don't know how I'm going to really pay rent, because right now that's about the most I'm making. And I don't know what I'm going to do about taxes, but that's what I'm going to do. I thought for sure they'd say, you can't do that. No. Instead, my dad said, well, what do you need to incorporate your business? And so he was one of my first investors, a very minimal investment. He does remind me that Jeff Bezos' dad also invested in his company in Amazon. Don't know how that's working out with how they do that. It's a very good investment. But from there, the story has kind of escalated. I'm sure we'll get into that. So 23 years old, jumped ship from a dream job, really had a hard time reconciling. Should I feel guilty about this? Should I feel like I'm looking a gift horse in the mouth? Ultimately went on to say, if it's right for you and you feel that itch, you got to do it sooner than later.
Yeah. So I think this story is going to come back full circle, because I know some of the work you're doing today is now related back to the public health office that you originally started to work with. I think about, let me just ask you this. Has the way that you sold your business at 23 and the way you're selling your business now, how has that evolved? Because I would imagine early on you were selling kind of energy and enthusiasm and maybe a creative kind of fresh new perspective on the world. And now you're probably evolved into more selling some of the experience that you have gained over the years. Have you ever put any thought into how that has evolved for you?
Absolutely. So when I started, I would say the word that described my business was scrappy. I had, like you said, high energy. I took on any job. Coming from a political or campaign background where you would spend nights licking envelopes just to do mass mailings, just to get something out the door, I still had that. And to this day, I still do. I said, I'm never too good to lick an envelope. If my client needs that job that has to go out, I will go back to the basics of what I have to do to make it possible. But to that point, I was taking very small, odd jobs, anything that would get me experience. And that panned out really well for me. I didn't turn down anything, even if it didn't seem like public relations on the surface. I went ahead and did it. If it was something that I could do, I could help with, working a registration table at an event, whatever that might be. And then word of mouth recommendations started to evolve. And that's really been the crux of my business. I haven't had to go on and toy around with Google AdWords and SEO and trying to get people to come to me. Rather, it's do good work and people recommend you. And those tend to be the most reliable recommendations because of those, point of connections that come back to that one person you know and trust. So now I would say I am absolutely selling experience. And the business development side, I feel really lucky that usually someone calls me up and it's not, hey, can you bid for this project? Can you put together a proposal? It's, you're the person I want. Let's hop on a call and work it out. So that's been pretty cool too.
Yeah. And I think that's the foundation of really good advice that I give to students, right? They want to know, how do I advance in my career? And they want to talk about things like personal brand and how to get other people to know about the work they're doing. And my advice is always do a good job in the job that you have and kind of make your name on doing what you're doing really well. And that'll lead to other things, right? There's no better advertising than word of mouth.
Absolutely. Yeah. They always say, what's the saying? It's, the reward for good work is more work. And sometimes I use that saying when I feel like I have too much work, I have to start passing it off. But then it also comes full circle, like you said, is if you want more recommendations, you've got to start with what you have. And then people will trust you with more and more and more.
Right. Now, a decade later, right? It sounds like an unbelievable success story, right? That everything was nice and easy along the way. But we know that you face some unique challenges. Can you talk about some of the challenges of being a young female entrepreneur, particularly in the field of communications and politics?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I thought long and hard about this. I've even blogged about it and really tried to reconcile. I watch what's going on in the greater world, in the media, in the political world. I see and hear some of those struggles, especially young females face. Feel very fortunate that those particular examples are not my story, but I am aware that that's very true and it can happen. Now, being a young female entrepreneur, I think a lot of the clients I served tend to be older, white Caucasian gentlemen. Right. And in that sense, I think they looked at me more like a daughter, maybe even a granddaughter. And it's like, oh, it's cute, you want to do this, or right. I might trust you with this as like a side project. So I had to quickly start to say, I'm young, but don't think of it as young. Think of it as I have energy, fresh perspective. So just like you would in the PR world, I started to spin what some people might think is a weakness or an attribute that maybe you haven't quite gained experience yet. I said, don't look at it that. Look at it like I'm bringing fresh ideas to the table. I just came out of college where I learned the best tools and technology, which are now emerging. I hate to admit, but Twitter was just on the verge of coming right. out when I was in college. Yes, 10, 11 years ago. And so this was tools and technology people did not yet know how to leverage. And I was coming on the cusp of it and saying, this is what you need to do. And I still value that in any of the undergrads today that I talk to. And I know I have so much to learn from what they can bring too. So I think that was the key, is taking what most people might perceive as a drawback to hiring me and saying, but for all of those reasons, I'm going to stand out. Even being a female, hey, you want to attract a female votership, or you want to reach, females or moms or young women. I'm that person, I'm that voice now. And I still use that with a lot of my clients too. What's amazing is most of my clients are male. I don't know if that's my personality type, but I communicate better. That's just who I tended to work with. But now along the way, what I've learned is to push back. And I used to be very much a people pleaser, a yes person. Should we do this? Oh, I can do that for you. I now sit back and say, explain to me why you think that that's what you need for your business. Right. And I've learned to push back and say, I don't think that's what's best for you. I don't think that's going to move the needle, or no, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make sense. So I've learned that too, through a lot of ways where people are looking for that pushback in a consultant. They want someone to tell them no when it's not right.
Yeah, and that sounds like that's also been part of like your personal, kind of your personal development, right? Or that evolution of, I'm going to take everything and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to start to build this experience. Well, that's all well and good, but if you don't then turn and use that experience, right, to say, hey, you know what, I tried this and it didn't really work out that way. Have you considered? Or mm-hmm. I'd recommend doing it this way, right? That's, again, how you continue to build the value that you bring to your clients is through that evolution that occurs. It's funny, you bring up Twitter, and Twitter being 10 years old. Can you imagine where else would we get our news if it wasn't for Twitter? I'm old school. I still walked up to the end of my driveway this morning and picked up my Wall Street Journal. But I first thing I do before I leave the house is I scroll through Twitter to see, what happened overnight, or how that's how I get my news nowadays. So let's talk about some of the experiences that you have had that have kind of best equipped you for some of your most challenging personal and professional experiences. We've mentioned you work with clients across a number of industries. What are some of those experiences that have really pushed you both personally and professionally?
Yeah, so, I like to say, especially now that the COVID pandemic has hit and so many people last year transitioned to a virtual work environment, and that was a hard transition for some people. I like to think I was working from home and working completely virtually before it was cool, before it was something we had to do. And I know that there was a lot of speculation sometimes with clients, even local ones, who said, well, here you are in Pennsylvania, or what do you mean we're not going to meet face to face, or you're going to come into my office? Can that really work? Right. So I think some of the biggest hurdles and challenges was proving to clients, yes, I can work effectively and sometimes even more efficiently from a virtual work environment. I'm an introvert, an outgoing introvert, admittedly. I work well when I'm kind of in my own little capsule of silence, when I need to write, when I need to do something. The water cooler talk really distracts me. So I think, overcoming that from an early stage of convincing people that, yes, I don't have to be a warm body in a seat in your office to still serve as your public relations director, to serve as your strategic communications arm of your business. And I like to say I have gained that success, through some of the more national clients I have. I've been planning conferences, patient symposiums for some of them across the nation in states that I never had to step foot in, but yet we were welcoming hundreds of people and doctors and caterers and everything into those states. And it's just a matter of, with the technology we have, being efficient with it. So I think that's going to serve me well into the future as more people are recognizing things can be done virtually, remotely. You can have teams scattered across the nation, and as long as you have touch points, it can work. But the job that best equipped me for what I'm doing now, and I'll say specifically parenthood, is working as a waitress, specifically a cocktail waitress in a very popular bar in downtown Harrisburg. And I say that, I've had a lot of different internships, professional experiences, but that job in hospitality, I recommend for anyone, especially a young person. You learn how to juggle so many balls at once. You learn how to make people feel that they are the only person that you're serving tonight, even though they're not. You anticipate people's needs. I would just go around and constantly be refilling and giving people things before they even needed it and thinking about it. And so that's what I like to carry over into my job now, the anticipating people's needs, making them feel like they're my number one priority, even if they're number 20 in my inbox right now.
Right.
And really just making sure you have those touch points, those very individual conversations. So I will say that has served me well in parenthood too, even if it means I'm juggling serving milk and everything else back and forth and closing doors with my feet and arms. So I would recommend that. I do feel strongly that I'm going to want my own children to work in hospitality at some point in their life.
One thing I've noticed about you, Stephanie, is when work from home, when the rest of us went to work from home, right, through COVID-19, I noticed all the blog posts that you had been putting out, and it at least appeared to me, maybe it's because of where my attention was, that there was kind of an increase in content coming out from you and from your work on your blog. Quite honestly, the 60 to 90 second blog posts that you were fantastic. You were killing it during COVID-19, and that might have, again, admittedly, that might have been something you've been doing all along. But how did your approach change as everyone else started to work from home and the world around you was changing in terms of their needs from a public relations perspective? What changes did you make in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. And just a touch point on my blog is I started that when I first started my business. So 10 years in July, I have published every Monday and have not missed a single Monday in 10 years.
Wow.
Sometimes it's been guest content. Sometimes it's been hey, I'm on vacation, but here's a little inspirational quote content. But so that's, going to be 520 blogs here pretty soon, which is really, really fun. Now, that aside, when COVID hit, I didn't know what was going to happen. If my clients were hurting, they had every right to say, I'm either closing shop, I'm not making an income, so I'm a contract employee. They could absolutely say within our contract terms, you're severed, you're done. So I didn't know what to expect, but I kind of, just like everyone else, buckled down. I was still working from home, so me flipping open my laptop every day didn't change things. What's amazing is only one client took a 3-month hiatus and ultimately came back at a higher level than they were before. And then there was an onslaught of additional clients because everyone from the state association perspective of what I serve had some political message they needed to communicate and communicate quickly. We were soliciting for businesses to become open. We were getting op-eds placed saying why this isn't fair or what you should know about our safe practices. So from a PR perspective, what changed was my messaging. I went from, okay, let's just promote our business, promote our sales, product, services, to crisis. What are we communicating? How are we going to make sure we're still relevant and that we're not, the word I use so often, tone deaf? Every meeting I felt like I was saying, okay, what we were going to post last week is going to appear tone deaf if we post it this week. People are hurting. So we just started moving messages around, but clients that I had just for a couple weeks sprints said, I need to get this message before the governor. I need to get this message before the Secretary of Health. This is what we need to do. So we started doing a lot of things like that, a lot of traditional media and traditional public relations. So if you saw like an uptick in my blog, that remains steady. So it might just mean maybe people were paying more attention. And my goal was to make sure my content was uplifting, that it wasn't, here I am doing great, I'm super okay throughout this pandemic, because that doesn't serve anyone.
Right.
I wanted to say, here's some things you can be doing now. I know I did a couple presentations for groups saying, here's how your messaging should change. Here is things you might consider on the PR front. Maybe while business is slow, here's ways you can dig into the own corners of your business and improve your branding, messaging, tighten up your website, improve your social media. So kind of, it's what I would tell college graduates as well. Until you get your first job, you are your job. So work on your own brand, kind of dust around the corners and get yourself ready to go so that when things do uptick again, you're ready to start rolling.
Yeah, and admittedly, it's probably the content that was catching my eye as the CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, trying to navigate COVID-19 and looking for how other people are doing it. And so that's probably why it jumped out to me more than it had in the past. But it was really helpful to frame a lot of the challenges that we were facing at the Alumni Association. We have a question coming in. Doran Brown wants to know, for a small, maybe 1 or 2 person unknown startup business that has never enlisted a PR firm before, what ballpark numbers should that business expect to spend when hiring a credible PR firm to run a first-time campaign?
That's a great question. And I think the answer that's most obvious and a lot of people like is it depends. Right. What I'll say is it depends on who you work with. So I'm a sole proprietor, a single consultant. I feel like my prices and my price point entry level are very conducive to smaller startup businesses because you go with a major PR firm. They're excellent at servicing big established clients with bigger budgets because they have overhead. You're going to get a whole team, and it might be more than what you need right now, as it sounds, with a 1 to 2 person startup. So, with my husband having started at a 1 to 2 person startup years ago, he didn't even have the public relations budget. But thinking of what I would have said to him at the time is, consider your goals. What do you really hope to achieve? And then have an open conversation. Before I even talk budget with someone, a small startup, I would say, what do you hope to achieve right now? What's the lowest hanging fruit? And additionally, as a consultant, I can provide you with the ideas and the strategy. And oftentimes I advise clients that to say, hey, some of this stuff you can take on yourself. I'll handhold you, I'll guide you, but if you can do a little bit of the sweat equity, a little bit of the heavy lifting, then I can go ahead and do the things that maybe aren't in your wheelhouse. So that's how you can work together to amplify your budget by putting in a little bit of sweat equity and doing a little bit of more. So right out of the gate, I would say, what's going to move the needle for you? Many PR firms might say, well, you've got to have a social media presence. You've got to have this, this, and this. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, that might not be right for you. And in fact, spending your time in the social media sphere might be a distraction where you could be putting that time into something else of getting you published in TechCrunch or Forbes Business, and that's an easy pitch. They're always looking for contributors. So what's going to move the needle more? Starting a Facebook account with a couple followers and putting posts out that might not be seen, or having an article feature your startup business in a renowned publication. And so both of those might require a same amount of time, same amount of effort, but one is going to yield a far greater result. So I say have the conversation early. Most professionals, firms, consultants should be willing to talk with you for at least a half hour to start, give you some advice, and then be honest if they're a good fit for you or not.
That is great. That is great advice right there. We've talked about your husband, Scott. I'm interested to know, what is it like living in a household with another entrepreneur? I would imagine, right, there's not the traditional workday, right? There's the hustle that we expect from an entrepreneur to, go out and kind of make their opportunities. Well, kind of give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain and what that might look like.
Sure, I'd love to, because we were trying to figure it out just like everyone else. My husband, Scott, he's an entrepreneur, as you know, started a nonprofit, has now moved out of that, happily retired, but then he also went into a tech startup where it's a software company that he's the CEO. So he traded one equally as hard, hustle for another one. And then at one point, he was also working with a radio station and kind of co-founding that as well. So he's been a serial entrepreneur, as I say. I've stuck with mine for now 10 years, but at any given point, we were running 4 different companies out of our house. Right. He had an office, closed that right when COVID hit. So we have an office space, which you see behind me. His desk is over here, which I don't know if you know, Paul, is no longer, it's vacated. And I'll tell you why. Because in COVID, I learned that he's on video calls all day. And as I mentioned before, I need extreme silence to do my best work. So mentioning to him that this was my office before maybe it was yours, he very kindly moved into the guest bedroom, which is where he now works, down the stairs and over to the side. So that's rule number 1, is it's not always working in a collaborative space, because it's 2 different companies. Right. He's not my boss, I'm not his. Sometimes we'll collaborate on things. More often than not, it's unrelated, so it's just a distraction. So we've given ourselves our space. Sometimes we only see each other over lunch. And even then we have to text each other to say, are you coming down for lunch? Sometimes we don't even see each other then. But with that also comes the wonderful harmony of every so often things will align and we'll say, do you want to go for a walk? And we'll take an hour walk and we'll just talk and catch up. But one of the key pieces of advice we said early on, even before we were working in the same space, in the same house during COVID, we never give unsolicited business advice. So I will absolutely ask him for advice from time to time. I'll share triumphs. I'll share really excited news. I'll ask him questions, but he never imposes it on me. So right now, if he's listening in and he thinks I'm completely butchering this coffee talk with you, he's not going to say anything until maybe I ask him 2 months from now, how do you think I did? Just as I won't comment on his unless asked. So we have some kind of key pieces of wisdom of not giving unsolicited advice, really just giving yourself separate spaces. And at the end of the day, turning it off, shutting it down, and returning to being husband and wife, not co-business owners working in the same space.
Excellent. Excellent. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. We're joined this morning by Stephanie Shirley. She's the founder and owner of Bennis Public Relations. Stephanie, you and Scott both give back to Penn State in a variety of ways. You're both tremendous volunteers for us. I know that you spend some time in the classroom with the Belisario College of Communications. Talk a little bit about some of the advice that you give to students who feel called to the non-traditional career path from their major.
Sure, absolutely. So I guess many of the viewers might not know, but several years ago, I was asked to serve on the Alumni Society board for the Donald P. Belisario College of Communications. I said, I think I got that all incorrectly. As far as what it's officially called now, it was just the College of Comm when I was there. But in doing so, I've had really immense opportunities. Before COVID, we were on campus. The Alumni Society board came back on campus in spring and in fall. And it was for, a Sunday to Monday. I would tend to stay and also I would ask Mike Poorman, who is wonderful. Anyone who knows him, shout out to Mike Poorman. How else can I give back? And he would hook me up with professors, the PRSSA club I got to speak at. So when I came back to campus, it's only an hour and 45 minutes here from Mechanicsburg. I really said, well, what else can I do just beyond the meetings? So I would serve on review panels for the teachers to make sure that they keep their accreditation with their classes. But one of the best experiences, Professor Dave Wozniak allows me to speak to his class every so often. He's been a wonderful friend and supporter, but now also a professor at Penn State. And the speech, or I would say like the lecture I gave at his class, was called The Agency. So a lot of students in public relations think that they really have only a couple options. They go and work for a major agency, a lot are attracted to New York, LA, whatever that might be, and that seems really fun. Others think, well, then I'll just be the public relations person at a nonprofit, at a small business, whatever that might be. And I like to expand the thought further. And I said, what if you're not part of an agency, but you're also not just working with a single organization? What would that look like? So that's what I do. I'm not with an agency. I'm a sole proprietor, but then I work with, right now I have 30 different client accounts per month. So that's a lot of different people I'm interfacing with on a daily basis. And I like to stretch and say, what would that look like for you? How can you get started? You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what that really means. You know, it's high risk, high reward. And for certain personality types, that's perfect. You know, you can see kids' eyes light up and say, that's what I want to do. You know, you're telling me I'm in control. I have infinite potential for growth, income. I control my brand. I can say no when a project doesn't feel right. You know, most organizations, your boss puts something across your desk and you've got to do it. I can say if a project doesn't feel right, I'm sorry, I can't take that on right now, but here's someone I recommend.
Right.
So that's where, you know, I've loved giving back to Penn State through my knowledge, expertise, and definitely my enthusiasm. And I like hearing how the students can kind of ask those questions of, wow, how can I do that? And I remind them that I was their age when I started doing what I'm doing.
So we like to have a little bit of fun here on Coffee Hour at the end. I'm going to throw some really quick hitter lightning round questions at you, and you just kind of share what comes to mind.
Okay.
So your favorite class at Penn State?
Sure. I mean, a lot of different classes. I have to really remember now. So my favorite class at Penn State is, I was a public relations major, but I was a communications, arts, and science minor. And my favorite class actually was in my minor, and it was the psychology of communication. And the reason I love that so much is because it's so complex. You know, the reasons we do what we do sometimes don't make sense on the surface. And we started learning about the conscious versus unconscious, and you know, just all of that, and how there can be that friction between what we know we want to do and then what we're actually doing as far as communications goes. So I just soaked those classes up like a sponge. I actually completed my minor in one semester because I just took all of my CAS classes at once. So that kind of played off each other. So that's what's a little ironic is I love public relations. It's where I'm spending my time, but my minor was where I had some of the most fruitful classes at Penn State. So that communication, arts and science, speech writing, psychology, amazing.
If you could have dinner with anyone besides your wonderful family, who would it be and why?
So this is tough because I feel fortunate. Scott and I already had dinner with Coach Franklin. We were able to come up on campus and we met with him and his direct assistant, and we had a delicious dinner, just the four of us, and really got to get to know him on a personal level. So I can't use that one, although I feel like it's pretty popular. Dean Marie Harden. She and I have only interfaced a couple of times. I think highly of her. I've been able to, you know, see and hear her speak when she comes to Alumni Society Board. I was also able to meet with her right before COVID hit and present to her a research study that I had done on the alumni, the College of Communications alumni, and kind of their undercurrents and everything. And she is so intelligent, well-spoken, and also, you know, she takes leadership. So I think I have a lot to learn from her as being a female in a position of power, where you can maintain leadership while still being friendly, approachable, and receptive of other people's ideas. So I think highly of her.
Well, that's a good choice, and I think we can make that happen for you.
That'd be great. Yeah, when everyone can eat together again, which is happening soon. So
yeah. So what has been your most unusual we are moment? Kind of that unusual or unexpected place where you heard somebody yell out "we are" because they recognized you as a Penn Stater. Maybe you were wearing the gear, or they recognized it some other way.
yeah, so the most recent one is in the fall. A couple girlfriends and I took a trip to Watkins Glen out in New York, and my friend was wearing her Penn State sweatshirt. I think it was the first home game of the season. Right. And of course we were in New York. So we were walking all the different gorge trails, a good amount of people. Now she didn't go to Penn State, but she was wearing her gear. I think I had a hat on, but that was it. And I just love her enthusiasm because it was actually her that was passing people along the trail, and anyone wearing Penn State, she would just scream, "We are," at them. And it was funny to see their reaction because you could see they're just like, "Why are you yelling at me?" Then it clicked. They're like, "Oh, that's right. I'm wearing, you know, my gear." And you would get a Penn State from them right away. So I love that even though I was the Penn Stater out of the group, it was my friend who just loved the whole culture of Penn State, that she wore her gear. She was the one screaming it. And so I think that's really important to note with Penn State is by no means is it limited to someone who holds a degree there, that you are allowed to say "we are." Everyone is allowed to say "we are."
It's funny, you know, you're not the first person to say that "we are" on a hiking trail in New York was their kind of most unusual moments. We're popular on hiking trails in New York. We're popular on the Great Wall of China. So it's amazing that you share that story. What is your favorite Penn State sport?
Sure, that's a great question. I love football for the culture that it has up there. I can't say that's my favorite sport per se. I'm quickly becoming more of a baseball fan, given that I have two young sons that are in Little League, and that's really is sport. Scott's passion is baseball, even though he played football at Penn State. So yeah, I mean, the sport, I would say football still, more for the culture than the sport itself, which might run a lot of people the wrong way, but it's the truth. I have a lot of great memories of tailgating and being with friends up there.
Who is your favorite all-time Penn State football player?
That'd have to be Scott, wide receiver, number 80. Mostly because once this call's over, you do remember, Paul, I have to walk down these stairs and face this person that I might have said isn't my favorite football player. So although I never got to see him play, I definitely got to see enough photos and hear enough memories of him as well. So although I could say his best friend, Nick Fox, might be my favorite football player, he never played football at Penn State, but Scott was able to get him on the field during one of the games because he just had Nick dressed like a football player, and they kind of put him in like a Trojan horse. So maybe I'll go ahead and make Nick Fox my favorite Penn State football player, who you'll never find on any roster.
That's one of my favorite stories. The Nick Fox story is a hysterical story of, you think of these stadiums with all this security and everyone always surrounding the team, but that somebody could just kind of dress up and sneak in for on the sidelines for a game that's one of my favorite stories.
Well, Scott has gotten me down on the sidelines as well. We've had press passes that we were supposed to be there just for, while he did a check presentation. And we kind of did the beg for forgiveness, not ask for permission. And there was a game where, an amazing play, and Sandy and I were able to high five each other on the sidelines. And Scott's like, you're going to get caught one of these times being down here. And people would kindly say, I think that pass has expired. You need to get back up. So.
Absolutely. Final question, your favorite flavor of creamery ice cream?
Sure. So like a day like today, especially yesterday, creamery ice cream would be fantastic. I'm sure there was a line around the block and into East Commons. It's not going to be Peachy Paterno, nothing to do with Joe, but because I don't want fruit in my ice cream. If I'm going to have like a dessert, I want decadent chocolate, peanut butter, even mints. Okay. So I think death by chocolate would be a good flavor for today. Just a small little bit, just like a tiny death by chocolate, just to enjoy.
Absolutely. Stephanie, I want to thank you for joining us on Coffee Hour. We really appreciate the opportunity to share your story with fellow Penn Staters, and keep doing all the great things you're doing. You're bringing glory to Penn State.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Paul.
And I want to thank everyone else for tuning in to Coffee Hour today. If you're a member of the Penn State Alumni Association, thank you so much for your support. If you're not yet a member, what are you waiting for? Go on our website at alumni.psu.edu, and you too can become a member of the world's largest alumni association. Thank you for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State!